Hello everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we're going to be taking a look at this knife here. This is the CJRB Maileah. And as you can see, I have just taken this guy out of my pocket for this review. Very dirty and well used. Because, yeah, I carried this guy a whole lot. So, let's go ahead and get right into the specs and size comparisons. So, we're looking at an overall blade length of just a hair under 2.5 inches, about 2.3. Overall length of 5.5 inches, and a weight of honestly not enough for anyone to really care. The weight's about 2.3 ounces. So let's go ahead and jump in with our size comparisons. Let's start off with our Civivis. Here's the Elementum. Here's the Praxis. And so what we can see here is, yeah, this is a small knife. This is a small knife. This is a knife that I would definitely categorize as a fifth pocket carry. I carried this knife as a secondary carry in my fifth pocket, and it worked very well there. Next up, let's bring out our PM2. So again, tiny knife, which I think is going to be a theme of size comparisons today. Yeah, tiny knife. Maybe I should have brought out some stuff that's more appropriate as size comparisons, size-wise. Next, let's bring out our Gerbers. The paraframe. There is the mini paraframe, which they're kind of about the same size. Next up, let's compare it against some other CJRBs. Here's the large feldspar. And here is the Krag. And actually, I am going to run and get some more appropriate size comparisons out of my knife box. All right, our more appropriate size comparisons are the QSP Penguin, and perhaps most appropriately, the CRKT Squid, which I think one could really make the argument that these two knives, the Squid and the Maileah, are direct competitors. So, and one more size comparison, because I love doing size comparisons. I like letting you guys see a bunch of knives. So let's compare this knife last against the Cold Steel 4MAX Scout. There we go. All right. So this is a really neat knife. This is designed by Swags. You can see from the maker's mark there. And this is my first knife that I have that's been designed by her. I know she's starting to design a lot more knives with a lot of different companies, so that's always good to see. She does have a YouTube channel, so go ahead and check that out. But very nice little knife. We are looking at front flipper and thumb stud action. Shadows are really bad today for some reason. Nice colors, G10. The blade steel here is AR RPM9, which is Artisan / CJRB's new proprietary steel. Or, I mean, it's about a year old at this point, I guess. So, yeah, we have this very nice, I would call this a sheep's foot blade. Great little shape, got a good point. We'll talk about the tip here in a little bit. Nice belly, and yeah, reversible pocket clip. Just a pretty interesting little knife. So let's go ahead and let's go cut some stuff with it. All right, so let's do some cutting with our CJRB Maileah. Obviously, not a very big knife, so we're not going to break down a whole box. We'll just do a quick little cutting demo here. So, as I said earlier, nice sheep's foot blade, AR RPM9. Pretty thin behind the edge. not a very thick blade stock, and it does come down to a really, really nice little edge. There we go. Let's go ahead and pop back over to the table. Well, actually, pardon me, let's talk about carry real quick. Alright, so how does this guy carry? Well, as we can see here, it has a tiny version of CJRB's usual clip. This is a very, very small, kind of cute clip. We have flat screws. The clip itself is not recessed, but the material itself is thin enough that it doesn't really matter. So, let's put in the fifth pocket first. Yeah, it basically vanishes. Slides in and out really well. Let's take out my primary carry of the day. Yeah, it vanishes. The clip works very well. The entire knife goes into the pocket. I guess you can wave it open. Let's see if I can do that again. Interesting. But yeah, disappears, weighs nothing. It carries fabulously. And let's go back to the table and talk about the action. Because it's really nice. Alright, so let's talk about the CJRB Maileah a little more in depth. And by the way, I have some new lights on. We'll see if... I'm trying to work out some stuff with different lights. We'll see if... You know what? This might be it right here. Sorry about that. So, before we start talking, I just want to say that I have used this knife more than just about any other knife. In fact, probably more than any other knife in its size bracket. I carried this guy with me a lot, and this is just a really, really useful knife for all kinds of stuff that you run across. I mean, the blade, this knife didn't really, in most EDC tasks, most normal EDC tasks, I didn't feel like I was lacking anything just carrying this guy. I really didn't. You can do utility cuts pretty well. You have enough belly for slicing. You have a pretty acute tip. And actually, speaking of that tip, I don't know if you can see that, but I actually broke off just the tip of that tip. So I'm going to have to sharpen that back into place. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's just jump right into what I like and don't like about this guy. And I'm sorry, I'm going to get more lights on here. I don't like what we're doing, what we're going with there. So, first thing I like is, this is a pretty cool little knife. It's pretty unique. It's a front flipper and thumb studs in a very small package. I mean, again, this is not a big knife at all. Very light, great fifth pocket knife. Absolutely fantastic. I'm getting ahead of myself, though. So, the design. That's the first thing. I just like the design. Front flipper, thumb studs. You have this very unique shape. It actually kind of reminds me of an old car. It reminds me of an old car. in a way. Maybe that's just me, but it does. So yeah, the design is really, really neat. Next thing I like is the blade. This is a really, really good blade. It's very useful. It's a really good usable shape. Gonna mess with my lights again. Really nice usable shape. You know, you have the swedge here. You have a nice flat grind here. Just a really good blade. Very thin behind the edge. Not that much, not all that thick on the stock. Good slicer, good cutter. As I already said earlier, you can use it for a lot of different utility cuts. So, yeah. Next thing I like is actually the colors that this is offered in. So as you can see here, obviously, I have the black with the red. There's also red with black and a jade with red, I believe. I don't know, just kind of neat colors. Kind of neat colors. I like that. Next thing I like is AR RPM 9 blade steel. I should put that in with the blade. Yeah, I think that's a great steel. And in fact, I will be sharpening this guy right after this review. Maybe I'll even put in a little bit of, put in some words on how that went. But yeah. Next thing, action. So, thumb studs. Rockets right out. Flipper. Oh yeah, really snappy. You can reverse flick it all day, every day, if you don't get your other finger in the way like I did right there, and it's still deployed. Yeah, it's a good action. So, that's all great. Next, the pocket clip. This is a really good clip. As you can see here, it is essentially just a miniaturized version of CJRB's already existing clip. But, yeah, they've done it nice here. As you can see, flat screws. And this, I like my clips to have flat screws and for the clip to be set into the scale. This is nice, though. That little bump there, it doesn't affect the performance at all. As you can see here at the end, they did make one change from the standard clip. As you can see, the standard clip has a little bit of a ledge there. And this clip just has a straight swoop. So it'll climb over basically any pant material. So that's really awesome. In addition to that, the clip is reversible. So not only is it a great clip as far as clips go, but it's reversible. They're not leaving the lefties out. So that's really, really cool too. Next thing, lanyard hole in the back. Or I guess this is a lanyard pin, I guess you would say. Anyways, you can put a lanyard through the back spacer. This is not a knife that I would put a lanyard on. I'm fine with just having this guy hang out in my fifth pocket, but I can definitely see some people wanting to put a lanyard on here because it is a small knife and it sinks completely into the pocket. So, having a little bit more to grab onto would probably be appreciated by some people. Next thing, pivot collars. I love pivot collars. This goes kind of back to the aesthetic, but I like pivot collars. I think they make a knife classy. And the fact that they match the thumb studs, colored thumb studs aren't something you see all that often in the budget category, actually, which is kind of weird, but, it's nice that it's here. Next, access to the liner is good for a knife this small. It's not the best access if you're comparing it to something like the Feldspar, which has just perfect access to the liner. But for a knife that's this compact, no complaints. You can get in there and disengage it, no problem. So that's nice. And the last thing I want to talk about is the ergos. Because here's where this knife, to me, is a little bit odd. Because this small knife actually has a bunch of different grip positions. So you can hold this knife back here. And this is pretty comfortable. In fact, this locks you in pretty good. You can feel the clip a little bit. It's a little bit of a hot spot off here when you do this. But, it's solid. It's solid. If you grab it like this, it's not going anywhere. And so this is good for if you're doing a slice or something. You can also choke up in there and just hold like this for a little more precise work, which works great. You can also hold this knife like this. Having this big fat area here really tucks into your hand. And the ergos are very nice. There's a lot of different ways to grab this knife that really increases its usefulness. And so that's pretty good. So let's jump into what I don't like. So what am I not liking here? The first thing we're going to start out with is the ergos. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, wait, wasn't that part of the good? Yeah, it was. But the ergos on this guy are weird. They are weird, and they do take some getting used to. There are certain grips where this knife just is not comfortable at all. And one time, while I was using this guy, I actually did cut myself here because this is not really a finger choil. This is more of a sharpening choil. And I was doing something, I can't remember what it was, but I thought I should choke up, and I wasn't careful, and I cut myself. So it happens, you know. Second, I do think this blade is a little busy. You know, you've got quite a bit of writing here. I don't mind the steel or the maker's mark, but you know, you've got China, you have like the serial number, so just not a big fan of that. And next thing, while I was using him out of the box, I noticed within like a couple hours of me just kind of playing with this guy, it started to become loose and uncentered. I was like, well, that's weird, you know, started developing blade play. So I tightened it up. I went back to working with it, using it, and it came loose again. So this isn't really a big deal. I'm pretty sure just a little bit of Loctite will fix it. But another thing I noticed is the female end of the pivot is on the show side. Well, you know, this side. Whereas the smooth side's on here. And I don't know if this is a factory defect or if this is on all. I think this is actually on all of them. Because I think I remember seeing on Neve's Knives, the one he had was like that. But here comes a fun part of the video, because we're going to take this guy apart. And we're going to see if we can assemble him the other way. Because, let's be honest, this knife needs a good cleaning and sharpening, and just, it needs some love. So, let's get into it. Because, honestly, there's not much else to not like about this knife. I think I forgot to mention the price. The price is fine here. It's a good price. $35. Yeah, I'll pay that. That's not a bad price for the materials you're getting, for the fit and finish you're getting, all that. I don't have a problem with it. But let's go ahead and get some tools out, and let's take this guy apart. Okay, so the pivot here is going to be a T8. I know that already. Over here off screen, I have a little tray where I'm keeping parts. Don't lose your parts, people. It's not fun. And I'm pretty sure these other screws are going to be in. Yeah, you can see there we've got a D shape pivot, so that's nice. These other screws, I'm almost certain, are going to be T6s. Because this is the way of the world. Yeah, it looks like we've got a little bit of Loctite, but I feel like come free. Or actually, are those free? Is that free spinning? It is. So there's something we're going to have to add to the list of bad, is that is a free spinning pivot. This does not make my life fun. All right, get back to you once this guy's all cleaned up. Okay, so it looks like I spoke too soon, because I just flipped this over, started doing the other screw. The other screw, as you can see, came out just fine. Which, again, makes me think that they messed up the show side pivot here, and they intended for you to take the knife apart entirely on this side. But we will see. So yeah, a little bit of Loctite in there. It's not a big deal at all. Now this knife should just fall apart. Yeah. See, that's why I always like to have take out all the screws on one side first. Yeah. Or take out all the screws. Have to only take out the screws on one side. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Alright, so... yeah, I can see these ones are going to pull. Am I going to have to take... no, we don't have to take the whatchamacallit off, the clip. Okay, so there's our stop pin. Let's take our bearings out. So these are steel bearings in plastic cages. Look how gross that is. Yeah, I'm not joking, guys. I carried this everywhere. Come out of their bearings. Let's grab us a cloth. I have to go and get some alcohol wipes. Go get some alcohol and put on some wipes. Yeah. Their detent hole. Back here just a little bit. We'll be right back when I have them cleaned up. You can definitely see the jagged area where I snapped the tip a little bit, because it's taking things off, parts off my cleaning cloth. Trying to eat my cleaning cloth. So maybe I will include a segment in this review. Ouch, that is just gross. Well, not gross, but you know what I mean. It's not nice. Maybe I will include a segment on sharpening. Talk about that a little bit. See how this guy sharpens up, because he definitely needs it. There is... I think that's the worst little bit of edge damage, but I can definitely feel that it's starting to go dull in some places, so... Definitely something I will have to be doing. So if I'm going to do it, I might as well talk about it. Even though I don't talk about sharpening on a lot of other reviews, and eventually every knife needs sharpened. Oh, that cleaned up pretty nice. This side, besides my nasty fingerprints again. Alright. Some scratches, but that's what you get when you use your knives. Alright, I'll finish. Whoa, jeez. I'll just punch my camera. We'll finish cleaning up the rest of this, and I'll be right back. Alright, we got everything cleaned up. Let's put this guy back together. Look at this cute little back spacer. It's so tiny. But, which way do we want to? We'll build him from this side up, I guess. Take out the little lanyard post, and come on, you get in that hole. There he is. Stop pin. All right. So we're going to see if we can put the pivot with the smooth part on the other side. And actually, I think I'm already seeing something that will prohibit that. So see, the smooth part is the actual pivot pin. It's not the screw. And it's D-shaped. You see this D-shaped side here on the clip side. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. Well, maybe we can pass it through the other side. We're just going to experiment. You know? Let's just experiment. So let's stick him through there. I'll have to make sure he's facing the right way. Some bearings on there. I'll be right back. All right, moment of truth. Let's see if we can get that pivot to go through. Thinking the answer is going to be no. Dang it. Hey, good news, I was wrong. Alright, so it does work. And squeeze back together back there. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, let's go ahead and get this screw in first. And we're going to switch over to our T8. Let's hope this knife goes back together just beautifully. I think it feels like a good tightness. Stick those pin pinch those together. Now you. There we go. And this should be a done deal. Imagine we'll have to adjust it just a... Alright, so let's wrap up this review. And I must apologize, during the disassembly portion, my camera just kind of shut off on me, so I had to... I did say a couple more things, but I'll just say them here. So, came back to centered. Flicks open really, really well. The action's good. And yeah, you can definitely switch that pivot screw around, which I think is a lot better because, yeah, for me, this is the show side. I'm going to keep the clip on this side because I'm a righty, so this is the show side, and I like having the smooth bit here instead of the actual bit side. I should have used different words. You guys know what I mean. Yeah, that does look better. That does look better in my opinion. I like that. That is pretty nice. And since I was able to fix that, geez, what do my complaints on this knife come down to? Because really there's not much, because I thought I was going to have to complain about how, you know, since this pin was on this side, I had to unscrew that, and these screws wouldn't come out, but these ones would. So you have this screw coming out this way, and then these two this way, which I don't like, but now, all three come out on this side, makes this assembly a whole lot easier. So the thing I will complain about is that from the factory, this was in backwards. Maybe for them it wasn't, but definitely for me that was backwards, and it needs to be fixed, and I fixed it, and it looks better, and it functions better. It's just better. So, pretty happy with that. Whoa, whoa, whoa! I said I'd tell you guys about the sharpening. I don't want to be a liar. So, I sharpened him up, and I've actually been cutting paper, so he's dirty again already. But, he's got a nice new edge on him. Let me grab some of the paper I was cutting. It's got a nice new edge. If I don't... Is that in frame? Yeah. Nice and sharp. Nice and sharp. The steel sharpened up just pretty well for me. Didn't have any issues with it at all. Sorry, wiping it off of my shirt. As for the damage I did to the tip, if you can see there, I took the, I basically just kind of rounded the tip over. This was just a quick sharpening job. I might go through again later and make it more pointy again, but yeah. He's not, you know, when I do that, it's not catching me anymore. So I got rid of the chip and burr that were there, so yeah. Sharpened him at 17 degrees per side. In case anyone's curious to know, you might want to do steeper or shallower, depending on who you are, but 17 worked pretty well for me. I'm not a pro sharpener, by the way, so I'm not gonna tell anyone, oh, I did this, that, and the other. If you want pro sharpening tips, you should go watch Neve's Knives. I just sharpen them up for my use, make them really, really sharp, and I'm good with that. I don't do fancy mirror finish edges or any of that, but maybe one day. So yeah, there he is, the CJRB feldspar, blah, the Maileah. Anyways, let's get back to the previously recorded parts of the video. See you over there. So my overall opinions on this knife are, yeah, I mean, there's almost nothing negative about this guy. I talked a little bit about the ergos. Honestly, though, when you get this knife, you will figure out how you're going to carry it and use it. You know, you can get a full grip here. As you can see, I've got like this finger wrapped around this part. That's not uncomfortable. And then, you know, this big fat part here goes into my palm. You hold it like that. You can hold it way back here. In fact, I handed this knife to my cousin Me and him were talking about knives when I handed him this, and the first grip he went to was this. He's like, wow, that really locks in. He's like, man, for such a small knife, that's comfortable. So, I mean, you will find a way to hold this knife. You really will. And honestly, again, you're not going to be using this knife for big tasks. I mean, if you're having to like really bear down on your knife and get a different knife. Just get a different knife because yeah, you're not going to want this. But for everything else, I mean, if you're just doing, small cuts, slices, utility cuts, you're cutting up cardboard, paper, string, opening packages, blister packs, all that kind of stuff, this will do you just fine. This is a really, really nicely designed knife and a real nice package for a just awesome price. So, yeah, is this knife recommendable? 100%. All the way. And, yeah. I mean, if you're in the market right now for a nice, smaller backup type knife, a secondary carry, I can point you to this all day long. And this knife pairs so well with so many other things. This is a neat pair here. This with the bigger, and actually I want to get the AR RPM 9 crag because it has like the red and black, but yeah, that's a good pair. Heck, today I was carrying this guy with the Kaiser Slicer, which is a good knife that I have some issues with. I've carried this guy with the 8015 Light from Cold Steel. Carried it with my feldspar. It's just a great knife. It's very easy to slip in your pocket, forget about. I really love this knife. Small, compact. It's kind of a no-brainer for anyone. I don't think there's anyone who could not enjoy this knife. Unless you've got like huge hands, this knife probably will aggravate you. But besides that, yeah. 100%. If you like what you see here, you will like this knife. And that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.